It's just a little dog, Steve! It's just a little dog! Go save it! Guys, it's just a little dog!
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Horror of Babylon. Welcome to episode 1 of the Blob-a-Thon, brought to you by Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming. Blah, 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 blah. Today we are discussing the original The Blob from 1958. I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Okay, settle down, Steve. Daniel thinks he's Steve McQueen tonight. He's got his black belt, and now he thinks he's like Hollywood Dreamboat Steve McQueen.
I'm gonna go pick a fight in the gym.
We want to say thank you to our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron. And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, or the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. So I have to harass Ron to give us the movies, and so I needed 2 for April and 2 for May, and we decided on the Star Wars holiday special for Star Wars Day. I'm like, okay, I need 3 more, and I'm just like messaging him for days. Give me 3 movies. It's not that hard. I even sent him like a giant list of movies that we've talked about doing at some point. What he eventually came back to me with was, you know what the first movie that ever scared me and gave me nightmares was as a kid? I said, I don't know what. It's like the Blob sequel from the 70s.
I haven't seen that one yet, so
that's he came back with that, and I said, you know what? There's 3 Blob movies. Let's do all 3. We'll call it the Blob-a-Thon.
blah 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 blah.
The Blob-a-Thon. So that's what we're doing.
Woo! The Blob-a-Thon.
The Blob-a-Thon. Which I actually, this might be a fake memory, but did we talk about the Blob in the Phantoms movie episode?
I think so. Yeah. I think we brought that up because the ancient enemy.
It looks like the Blob.
Yeah.
Like a worse Blob in the movie. Our history with the Blob. I was aware of the Blob as like a pop cultural icon, and I was aware of like people running out of the theater screaming. That's all I knew, and I just watched this movie for the first time this week. What's your history with the Blob?
I saw the remake like once upon a time. It's one of my favorite horror movies because it still freaks me out. It leans way more into body horror because it has like a way bigger budget.
The poster is scary.
Yeah. The poster is the least scary thing in that movie. Or the least freaky thing in that movie, so
oh god,
get ready.
I can't wait to watch it.
This was actually my first time watching the original. I was aware of the original.
So you haven't seen the first, the second, you've only seen the remake?
I only saw the remake.
Okay, great. So this is a first for both of us.
Yeah.
Cool.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
All right, so background. This film was released September 12th, 1958, as a double feature with I Married a Monster from Outer Space. This was actually the B movie, as in the one they showed second, but it quickly became the first movie, the event movie, because it was doing so well.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. This is an independent movie. It was made by Fairview Productions, Tony Lynn Productions, and Valley Forge Films, and it was sold to Paramount for distribution for $300,000. And then Paramount spent another $300,000 promoting it, and it was marketed toward like the drive-in crowd, the like teenagers who go to see spooky movies kind of crowd.
Like what I take my dates on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I picture like the kids from It, like going to see I Was a Teenage Werewolf, like that kind of crowd. This movie had a budget of $110,000.
Oh, so it was like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey money.
More. So just listen. You haven't looked at this, have you?
No.
Okay. Don't.
I like to be surprised.
So it had a budget of $110,000.
Okay.
It came in under budget because it actually had a budget of $120,000. It made $4 million.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So my immediate thought was like, is this the most successful independent film of all time? So I actually looked up the list, and it's not. It's not even in the top 40.
Wow.
Can you guess the most successful independent film of all time?
Paranormal Activity?
Nope.
Oh, I know.
The Passion of the Christ.
That was an independent movie?
It was.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Because I remember that being like really... I guess Mel Gibson was already a millionaire when he made that.
Yeah. Oh,
so.
yeah. Wait. He had been a millionaire for a while, because that was after all the Lethal Weapon stuff and the Patriot. This movie was directed by Irvin S. Yearworth Jr., who only directed 7 films. The Blob was his second film. Some other movies that he directed were Dinosaurs from 1960.
I want to see that.
And 4D Man. Actually, the poster's kind of cool.
For Dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
The original title of this film was The Molten Meteor.
I think they made a good call.
So the producers overheard screenwriter Kay Lineker refer to the film's monster as the Blob, and when they heard that, they decided to change it. Although the Molten Meteor is a good descriptor of what it is, I think you're right.
It's a good descriptor. I think the Blob is catchier.
Yeah. This film was obviously very popular and very well received with audiences because it made $4 million on a $110,000 budget. However, with critics, it was mostly poorly received, kind of mixed received.
Fuck them critics.
Yeah.
They don't like Mario. Fuck them.
Fuck them. It kind of has like a split legacy. A lot of people think of it as like a horror movie, like classic, and a lot of people think of it as kind of a crappy B movie, and it's made some lists of like worst horror movies ever made.
Okay.
The film had a sequel in 1972, which we will be covering, and it had a remake in 1988, which Daniel was talking about earlier. In 2009, a remake was announced by Rob Zombie, and that never happened. And
oh no.
Since the year 2000, the town Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is one of the primary filming locations, has held an annual Blob Fest.
People run out of the theater,
including
every year,
a reenactment of the people running out of the theater screaming.
We should do that sometime.
I would like to do that. It's about 5 hours away. So we'd have to like make a thing of it.
Yeah.
But they actually have like a restored colonial theater there. So if like part of our trip there could be like actually going to see like a movie in this old school theater,
yeah,
that would be cool.
We could make it like a weekend trip of that. We'll spend our Patreon money.
Yeah. Patreon.com/horrorbabble.
And that's that. Another story in the classic infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
To structure and themes. For me, this is the most absurdly meta movie I've ever seen. It's a spooky movie about 50s teens who go to see spooky movies. And this movie was made for teens in the 50s who go to see spooky movies. And so much so that the original trailer for this movie actually showed teens in the theater getting attacked by the monster and then running out of the theater screaming. Oh no, it's so scary. It's the Blob. It's gonna eat us.
That just reminds me of like how much more of spectacles theaters used to be. Mm-hmm. Like there were people who would like do things where they would like rig chairs to shake. or skeletons to fly out at you.
Oh,
We don't do shit like that anymore with theaters.
can you imagine if like a skeleton flew out at me during Sinister?
I don't like this. That's a movie we should cover.
Oh, we'll do it. Should we do Sinister 2?
Yeah, so we can bitch.
This movie sucks.
I remember when we went to see that, I was so excited. I was like, oh, he's gonna get so scared again.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
This is also like another good example of small town horror.
Which I love.
Absolutely love. Very different from like It and Uzumaki, and then it's not like an ancient horror that has been sleeping in the town for years.
And it's not focusing like on the town's history.
No. But you do get like conflict among the townspeople, and you do get some of those relationships where you see the strained relationships between the teenagers and the police, and so it's got a lot of the same like
it feels
themes.
very alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when they're talking about the cops and like, oh, which cop is good to get pulled over by versus which one sucks getting pulled over by.
And it's so obvious that this was made for that exact demographic.
Yeah.
Because there's so much about just like riding around in cars with girls and hoop skirts and getting pulled over by the cops. And
I miss soup skirts.
Yeah, they are pretty cool.
We should bring them back.
Yeah. So are we going to wear them?
Yes.
We'll wear. Oh, you know what we could do? The next time we record with Hef is we both show up in hoot skirts with like poodles on them.
And he's not, and we make fun of him.
Ah, you're not in the group. Or what's the girl gang from Greece? They wear like the pink jackets.
I don't know.
Yeah, we could wear those and be like, "You're not one of us." I don't know. That's bad.
You're the Let's Player.
Another big theme: the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
That was like super obvious with Steve McQueen's character just continually like, "Oh my God, it's the Blob!" And like, nobody believes him, which is so funny because we just did Ring, and my complaint with the book was like everybody believes Asakawa right off the bat. But
Because why risk it?
yeah, but obviously, like, oh, there's this mass that keeps getting bigger. It's a mass. It gets bigger.
The only thing I can say about that is people are less freaked out by monsters than they are by superstitious nonsense.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I lived through the email forwards of the late 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, that's very true. And then also just, I think the message of this movie is don't trust anyone over the age of 30, which...
Unless they're playing your teenagers.
He was only 28.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Okay, so let's jump to characters and talk about Steve McQueen, who played Steve Andrews. Steve McQueen is a big Hollywood icon who lots of iconic movies back in the day. And I think this was his second movie. Double checking. This was his second film. And I read this really sad and terrible story. It's like the opposite of what George Lucas did. So he was 28 when he did this movie.
Okay.
And he got $3,000 for starring in this movie. He was offered a smaller fee up front in return for taking 10% share of the profits. He declined it because he needed the money immediately to pay for groceries and rent.
Oh.
This movie made $4 million. Now, obviously, not all that $4 million is profit, but still, like, 10% would have been...
Like, even if you cut that by 50%, that would have been $200,000.
Like, how bad would that be? Obviously, this guy went on to have a long career in a lot of iconic movies and made a lot of money, but still, that's gotta sting.
When we eventually make our movie, are we going to offer actors this?
No.
10%.
No, we retain everything. The merchandising rights, everything. We're George Lucasing the shit out of it.
Knowing us, we'll just probably star in it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's gotta feel bad. But if you, like, look at, like, promotional stuff for this movie, this dude's name is all over it. And even, like, before he was, like, big, like, the beginning credits are Steve McQueen, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, just kind of what were your thoughts on the character, the performance?
Aside from my jokes about him really not looking like a teenager at all, he does a great job.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
I completely agree. I thought he was very endearing.
Mm-hmm. His eyes are so blue.
They are super blue. He does not look 17 in any way, shape, or form, but he's a good-looking dude. And I asked, he was just kind of, he seemed like that, like, good football player kind of high school kid. Like the guy from Carrie, the guy who takes Carrie to prom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. Tommy, I think was his name.
I'm just the guy trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'm popular and I play football, but that's not because I'm trying to be a poser. It's because I like to do these things.
Hey,
like,
you leave that nerd alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's how I got from this guy. And even, like, the opening scene in the car with Jane, she's like, oh, you probably say that line to all the girls.
Just to you.
No, just you. And I believed him. I'm like, no, I think this is the first time he's ever brought a girl here. I totally believe you.
He's a virgin.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
He's supposed to be 17, I guess.
He's supposed to be 17, 28-year-old Steve McQueen. But yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. I love the way he, like, rallied everybody at the end. I thought them, like, getting all the cars in the middle of town and blaring the horns to get everybody out of bed. And then him, like, listen to me talk, please. Was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. And if I were Jane, I probably would have been a little about how good he was with the little brother. Just lay down on Steve's chest and just try to go to sleep while this blob kills us in the basement of this diner. There's a lot of characters in this movie, but there aren't a lot of characters.
I think the only one that comes close is that one cop.
Dave,
yeah.
Dave. Who stood out? Why did they stand out? Like, what? Who do you remember?
I didn't remember his name, but I remember Dave because he was like an actual character. Like, he's
the good cop.
He's the good cop. He's just trying. He's like, he remembers what it's like being a teenager. Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna pull you in for drag racing at night. Just go home now.
Weren't even drag racing. I mean, they were kind of drag racing.
They're getting ready to.
Yeah, they're driving back. We're just driving backwards, Officer Dave. Then there's also the douche cop, who I swear was gonna get eaten by. I'm just waiting for him to get eaten by the blob.
Yeah,
the whole movie, and he never does.
It's because they can't kill law enforcement back in the
1950s. Yeah, I mean, cops did not have the same stigmatism that they have today. So that's a fair point. No offense to any police officers who may or may not be listening, but I'm sure you're aware that there's stigmatism with your profession.
Yeah.
And Jane, but I mean, there's not a lot to say.
I'm the good girl.
Actually, there is one thing that I really want to say about Jane. It's just a little dog, Steve. It's just a little dog. Go save him, guys. It's just a little dog. There's nothing we can do. It's just a little dog. It's just a little dog.
The power of tells you, Steve.
No, it didn't. He didn't go out there. He's like, no, I'm staying in this freezer where there's no blob. I'm not going out there where there is a blob.
Yeah, I'm not fucking dumb.
But he's just a little dog, Steve. Oh, can we take the dog with us, Steve? He's just a little dog. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get shit. People are gonna think I'm a dog hater. I'm not.
It's just kind of memorable.
Yeah, it's just a little dog.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
The idea of being eaten alive and dissolved by a blob is sort of scary.
It is, but, like, how it's portrayed in this movie is not scary.
I cannot wait for you to watch the remake.
I'll be honest, just like the poster, like I'll pull it up real quick. Like, I think the poster is legitimately scary. Yeah, like this.
And I'm telling you, that's going to be the least scary thing about the movie.
Okay.
At least from, like, my nostalgia memory.
How long has it been since you've seen The Blob 1988?
College?
Okay.
So maybe 21, 22.
Okay. We'll see.
So more than a decade.
It looks kind of scary. This movie is not scary.
No.
But I don't really think... I don't know. Do you think that people thought this was scary in the 50s?
I think they thought it was thrilling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's such a freaky idea. Run out of the theater.
Yeah.
Because, again, theaters were more spectacle back then. Everyone be quiet, turn off all your cell phones, and if anyone laughs at the funny jokes, we'll kick you out of the theater. You know, some people are such curmudgeons when it comes to having a good time.
Like the guy in this theater? The old man in the theater?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
I'm not saying, like, people need to, like, throw popcorn at the theater screen, but, like,
no.
We've been to theaters where, like, me and you are laughing at this movie, and then people will turn and stare at us like we're watching a comedy.
Yeah, we're laughing. I mean, if we were on our phones, you could give a shit, but we're not. We're laughing.
Yeah, and we usually sit in the back row anyway, so it's like...
exactly.
Oh no, we laughed at Cocaine Bear.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
We laughed at Renfield. We went to the movie marketed as a comedy and had a good time.
Yeah, that was super funny. I could kind of get if people got mad at us for laughing at Joker, but...
Yeah, well, they were probably afraid I was going to shoot the theater.
Yeah, you were dressed as the Joker, so...
I'm dressing as Harley Quinn for the sequel.
Is it still going to be a musical?
Allegedly, I don't know. My theory is there's going to be musical parts, and that's going to be, like, inside the delusions of either Harley Quinn or the Joker.
Is Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker?
Yeah, still it is a direct sequel.
Cool.
So you have to go as the Joker, and I'm going as Harley Quinn.
Sure.
I'm getting a choker that says puddin'.
If Carrie will do my makeup, I will do it.
She'll be out of nursing school then, so she will.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe we'll do an episode about it.
I've already started, like, looking for things to get, like, as close to a costume as Harley Quinn as I can.
Which Harley Quinn are you doing, though?
I'm doing the one for this movie.
Oh, okay.
With a couple, like, I'm gonna have a pudding Joker, because I just think that's sexy as shit.
Yeah. Margot Robbie. She couldn't hit any lower as Harley Quinn, and then she's Barbie, so never mind.
Yeah, this one's being played by Lady Gaga. Have you seen her yet? Have you seen Lady Gaga Harley Quinn?
No.
Yeah, they have pictures of her up, so.
There's a Lady Gaga episode of The Simpsons that's pretty weird. Lady Gaga, she sets up shop in Springfield because Lisa was the only person in the concert who she couldn't make smile. So she's like, I have to fix Lisa.
You can't fix Lisa.
You can't. No.
She's Gen Z.
Yeah, she is. Wow.
She was Gen Z before there was Gen Z.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll take that. The Blob itself, I think the practical effects for the Blob are just super cool.
Yeah. I'd like to see how they made a lot of this work. I like to watch behind-the-scenes stuff. I've seen a lot of that for the remake.
There's, obviously, they used some miniatures. That was definitely a thing. Yeah. There were also, some, they're not matte paintings. What are they called? I forget what they're called. I actually read a little bit about it on the Wikipedia. So for the diner scene, they had a photograph of the building, and it was put on a gyroscopic operating table where the cameras were mounted on the table, and the table was shaken. They put the blob on the photo and they shook the table and the blob rolled off, and then they printed the film negative in reverse so it looked like the blob was crawling over the diner.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's very inventive in terms of the practical effects for a movie with this low a budget to an independent movie without a lot of established studio people.
What am I always saying? Limitations breed creativity.
Yeah, exactly. There was, oh my god, I'm trying not to tie this into Star Wars. Okay, so just real quick, no spoilers for Mandalorian Season 3. None. Some general, some criticisms that I have criticisms with Mandalorian Season 3 as well. It's not perfect. There are some issues. Something that other people are bringing up is that it has to be in the same continuity with the sequel trilogy. And that limitation, they don't like that the Mandalorian storytelling has to work with that limitation. Whereas my reply is always the same thing. But with that limitation, it gives them, I think it breeds more creativity, because if they could literally just do anything they wanted without having to take continuity into context at all, I think it would not work. I can't say too much more without spoilers.
boy.
Steve McQueen was trying to get laid and didn't.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. What is your king for the Blob?
The Blob.
The Blob.
Just like the practical effects, it coming out in the theater is probably like the big scene.
Yeah, that and them. Same for me. Them. I knew that scene where they all come running, screaming out of the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to participate in that. I think a great promo video for us would be you, me, and Hef in Horror Babylon t-shirts running out of that Colonial Theater screaming, just hamming it up completely. The Blob! The Blob!
Yeah.
Fucking Christ, the Blob! I think that would be a perfect promo video for us.
We should start doing some promo videos.
We need to. Yeah, for sure. We would also need to bring a fourth person to film that, but I'm sure we can.
Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie! That would be cool.
Who else have we had on the show? Matt,
Remy.
Matt, we need you to hold the camera.
Yeah. And soon to be Ron, because he's going to be on our Star Wars holiday special.
That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I fucking love Ron.
Yeah, me too. My Koontz is the song at the beginning. It was weird.
It was kind of out of place with the rest of the tone that they were trying to set up. It was kind of jammy.
Yeah, it was kind of 50s, pop rocky. Not that I have an issue with that kind of music, but
let's do the Blob.
Yeah, I know. And it was just am I watching the wrong movie? I thought this was a horror movie, and it's
it was almost like one of those songs where they were trying to tell you to do a dance called the Blob.
Let's do the Michael Scarn. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. It was Richard Simmons should have been singing it. It was weird. That's my Koontz.
I'm just gonna make that my Koontz too. Anything else that I'd probably put up would be nitpicking.
You copycat.
Yeah.
You copy me. Okay. So rankings. I have the ranking. No shit. I'm going first. I had it kind of high. I have it as my number 13.
It's not bad.
Below Dracula 1931 and above the two better Mermaid Saga adaptations. And again, you can see these in our Discord. We have a link to our Discord in the show notes, and the rankings are posted in the ranking channel on the Discord, which links out to our Google Drive. So check that out. And Daniel is now going to list Rank the Blob. You'll notice that our lists now have numbers on them, which I don't know why they never did to begin with.
I think I'm going to put it right below Dracula 1931.
The same spot.
So it'll be my new number 19.
So yeah, I mean, in the top 20 for both of us.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a terrible B movie, one of the worst horror movies ever made, or would you say it's a classic?
I think it's earned its spot as a classic. Again, this is me, bias, and maybe it'll change when we rewatch the remake.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those rare instances where the remake is just better. That's my same opinion of The Ring. I think it does everything better.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I was thinking, when we're done with this Stephen King thing, a top 5 remakes could be a fun thing to do, because generally, I think, more often than not, remakes are worse.
Yeah.
So it might be fun to try and find 5 remakes that are better.
Yeah.
Granted, you just named 2, but still. So Zombie Day, since this is the original Blob movie, it doesn't have any Blob Easter eggs in it, but I did find out some cool stuff about the Blob's appearances and other things, so I wanted to bring these out, mention these. I've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
It's so good.
But apparently it copies the opening scene from the Blob, beat for beat.
Yeah.
And also, the John Carpenter version of The Thing has a virtually identical scene of a body lying under a blanket on a gurney, happens in this movie. And then Seth Rogen's character, B.O.B., Bob, benzoyl astenosine bicarbonate from Aliens vs. Monsters, obviously is
a blob entity.
And so is Blobby, one of my favorite characters from Hotel Transylvania.
Mavis.
I didn't say my favorite character, but one of my favorite characters.
I ship him with Mavis.
I don't ship Blobby with Mavis.
I ship everyone with Mavis.
I mean, I ship me with Mavis.
Yes.
Yes. She's 118. It's cool.
Yeah.
She's 118. How old are you, Johnny? 121. Homework. So 2 questions. What is Steve the McQueen of? And what happened to that fucking dog?
I think we know what happened to that
He got
fucking
eaten
dog.
by the blob. The dog doesn't show up in the movie. It got eaten. I know they say, "Oh yeah, we saw that dog running down the street." No, they're lying.
They just tried to
eaten.
make her feel better so that Steve McQueen could get laid.
Oh, it's a little dog, Steve. It's a little dog. It got eaten. That's what happened to the dog. So what's Steve the queen of, or the McQueen of?
Well, it was going to be of getting all the but the blob kind of got in the way.
I was going to say backwards driving. It's between him and Marty McFly him, Marty McFly, and Tow Mater from Cars for backwards driving.
Yeah.
I think that'd be like the ultimate like backwards driving drag race. Okay. And our question for the listeners, The Blob, cult classic or B-movie flop? Let us know. Reach out to us on our socials. Let us know what you think. For further reading, for me, I recommend, and this was going through my mind the whole time, Weeds by Stephen King, the short art story, the comic, and the film part from a Creep Show where Stephen King stars as Geordie, whatever his name is.
Oh, okay. Where the meteor comes down?
Yeah, it's basically, it's a story where a meteor comes down and Stephen King plays this like dumbass redneck from Maine.
I think that's his acting range.
He plays himself. He goes out and he touches the meteorite, and instead of a blob, it's basically weeds that just like sprout out everywhere and consume everything. It's basically exactly the same thing. Instead of a gelatinous blob, it's weeds.
Yeah.
And that was like running through my head the entire time I was watching this movie.
Maybe anything with H.P. Lovecraft that has a Shoggoth in it.
What's a Shoggoth?
It's a blob. It's a giant gelatinous mass that absorbs things around it. Only it's like the ancient enemy. It like forms eyes and mouths, and it will reshape and unform organs as it moves.
What are the gelatinous cubes called in Dungeons and Dragons?
Gelatinous cubes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. You know what I love about high school girls? This is Steve McQueen.
I keep getting older, and they're played by women the same age.
Oh, gross. All right, upcoming on the Horror Babylon. This Sunday, we're changing up our ring schedule a little bit to incorporate Ring Kazenban. So this Sunday, instead of doing the first Ring Japanese film, we're going to do Ring Kazenban from 1995, which is the Japanese TV version of Ring, which is the first adaptation. And then the next Thursday will be our next Four Horsemen bonus episode. That's May the 4th, Star Wars Day. We're going to be doing the Star Wars Holiday Special. We're going to have Ron on for that. Grampus will be here. That should be a ton of fun. And then Ring action continues the following Sunday, where we are combining Ring from 1998, which is the original Japanese theatrical film, and the Ring manga by Misao Inagaki and Hiroshi Takahashi. They're very similar stories, so we're just mashing them up. Then the Blob-a-Thon continues the next Thursday, which is May the 11th, with Blob-a-Thon Episode 2, Beware the Blob from 1972. Then we are wrapping up the Ring the following Sunday, May 14th, with the Ring 2002, Daniel's most favoritist horror movie of all time, the remake that does the story better than the original. And then our final Blob-a-Thon episode will be the following Thursday, May 18th, with the Blob 1988, another remake that apparently is better than the original. And then we're on to Pet Cemetery after that, and Hef will be back for Pet Cemetery.
How are we going to bully him this time?
I don't know.
Hoop skirts.
Hey, you missed the Ring and the Blob. You suck.
We'll just call him Dosan the whole time, and he'll be like, why are you guys calling me Dad?
Dosan, grab my ass while I fuck you, Dosan.
We'll be like, well, if you were here for Ring Kazenban, you'd know.
You would know. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up this Sunday. I think we're going to label that one Loose-cest. It's not Wincest, it's Loose-cest. Loose-cest. All right, thank you to our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, or the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And thank you to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas, who is sponsoring the Horror of Babylon Blob-a-Thon. The Blob-a-Thon continues soon. Blah, 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 blah. Fred Dukes. Stay scared.
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen. Who would win in a fight, Fred Dukes or Steve McQueen?
Probably Steve McQueen.
No, Fred Dukes. He's the Blob. He's immovable. Full of shit.
But he's already beaten one Blob.
All right, that's true. But I don't think you can beat Blob with CO2.
He's gonna bring out a fire extinguisher and it's gonna confuse him.
Okay. Well, Fred Dukes is super dumb. You could confuse him. Yeah. Okay. All right. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Daniel at DStarSick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Daimyo on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.